doesn't make any sense, sir. Why? Why me? Why do I deserve to go? Why not any of these guys? They all fought just as hard as me.
Is that what they're supposed to tell your mother? When they send her another folded American flag?
Tell her that when you found me, I was here, and I was with the only brothers that I have left. And that there's no way I was going to desert them. I think she'll understand that. There's no way I'm leaving this bitch.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Film Bros podcast. My name is Isaiah Lucas, and I'm joined by my co-hosts.
Abraham
and Nick.
How you guys doing tonight?
I'm a little tired today.
Are you?
Yeah, I
Well,
just
you're
got off
working, right?
It's crazy right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is insane. It's a holiday weekend, and
Yep.
I know.
It's just-
You guys feeling independent or what?
I am.
Yeah.
I'm INDEPEND. I don't even know how it goes.
I wish
you
you was
know
like,
what that means? She got her own car, her own place. You know that song?
Are you embodying that though? That song right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I'm
feeling
independent.
it?
I'm independent.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not.
You know, anytime I think of Independence Day or the 4th of July, I think of
Oh no.
I think of that ad-libbed song that R. Kelly did in man, I forget where it's at. It's in Africa somewhere. He did it like a concert, and he starts making a random song where he says, "Do you have your passport? Did you get your shots? Girl, would you like to come back with Rob to America?"
What in the world?
Dude, so funny.
Yeah.
Or I think of that song "Come On, Feel the Noise" by Quiet Riot. I feel like that's the most American song ever.
I think of that guy getting the glizzy and immediately going, wow, like in one bite.
The guy who just goes, who? And then spits it back out.
Coughs it back out.
No, but he did. Oh, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, replicate it. How many hot dogs can you swallow whole? Let's start with the question.
I know if it's the little beanie weenie hot dogs, I can do it like 5 or 6.
Beanie weenie.
If it's those, or no, the Vienna sausages, I can do like 4 or 5 of those.
Yeah,
Bro, I
But
won't
then
that
go
doesn't count.
I won't
But
go
then
You
anywhere
have to
near
glue. You
Vienna
have to glue them
sausages.
together for them to be a whole
I
dog.
can't. Then no, I can't do it.
You did it with a meatball.
I did it with the meatball and potatoes. I can swallow a potato whole.
You could swallow a dog. You could swallow a glizzy.
Let's try.
I could maybe do. I feel
I
like
need
I
to
could.
learn how to give the Heimlich first, bro, before I do anything.
No, those things. Have you seen videos? Those things slide up on their own, bro. They're fully lubricated on their own. Have you seen it?
No.
Dude, there's a guy who gets a. I can't remember how many he had. It was like 20 something, and he starts to like get pukey, and when he goes, oh, and they straight up come out whole on their own.
That's funny.
It was crazy.
Isn't that insane? Like, that was in his stomach, and the acid didn't break the lining yet.
Just say,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's insane. Well,
I want to see you swallow a hot dog now.
I would never swallow a hot dog.
A
I don't think I could.
Costco size hot dog.
I don't think I could.
Dude, the footlongs.
I don't think I
They're
could.
thick
No
too,
way.
dude.
they're
Hey, those things are girthy, bro.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was thinking the girth. The girth on that. I don't think my throat could manage that, man.
Not me, bro. It ain't me, babe. Not me.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Well, on the topic of all things American, like hot dogs and
Hamburgers.
hamburgers and all that stuff, we're going to be talking about a classic war movie, I think, that falls into anybody's, like, I would say, like, film canon for, like, top 10 war movies or even top 5, I would say. But this was Nick's pick.
It was.
So what movie are we talking about today?
We're going to be talking about Saving Private Ryan.
Not Saving Ryan's Privates?
Saving Ryan's Privates. I mean, technically they do. Technically they do. I got to say a spoiler for that, but
Yeah.
they do. Steven Spielberg, 1998
Yes.
came out? And man, I definitely agree. This is one of the greats when it comes to war movies. This is pretty much everything you want in a war movie. You see all the insane gore, you see the brotherhood, you see the turmoil they have to go through, and then you see them kind of sort of have a good ending.
Yep.
And from what I can tell, it seems very historical.
Yeah.
Like from what I read, some of the scenes that people went through, they had to like go through some psychology, some therapy sessions just to like not,
Wow.
just to be okay with it, because it seemed so accurate to what actually happened in D-Day.
That's insane.
Yeah. So how'd you guys feel about it? This isn't your first time watching, right?
Not mine. This is my second time rewatching. I remember the first time I had watched this, I was in college, and I was going through the IMDb's top 250 list, and this was on there, and I remember seeing a copy of it that my parents had owned on VHS, and the movie was so big that it took 2 tapes.
Seriously?
Yeah, so you had to put in one tape, and then whenever that tape finished, you had to put in the other one.
Yeah.
For it to finish the movie. And I remember that was the first time I'd ever seen anything like that other than like Titanic. And I remember seeing that case and seeing how like fat it was compared to all the other tapes that we had, and I was always like, man, like why is it so big? And I remember my dad telling me how long the movie was. And at the time where I was starting to really get into movies, I was going through a lot of that list and just happened to stumble upon this one, and I was like, you know what, let's give it a try. And I remember watching it and really enjoying it. I really understood the hype afterwards, and cannot really understand why this would be like top 5 war movies of like all time.
You didn't need therapy afterwards?
No, I did not. There was even some things too where like I completely forgot, which was awesome because it felt like I was able to experience it again for the first time. And yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later in some of the categories.
For sure. How about you, AB?
It was my first watch, and bruh, what'd you make me watch? Honestly, this is a good movie. This is probably one of the greatest war movies I've ever seen, hands down. But it's so chaotic.
Yeah.
I think I want to use is the word I want to use. You get a whirlwind of emotions. You get or like what is gonna happen, like, and just you get to see some crazy stuff. And it's like almost to the part where I was like, why isn't this higher than a rated R?
Yeah, well, I believe it was rumored to be close to rated NC-17.
I'm at to the point where like
higher.
it should, honestly.
Which is the level of violence.
With just the level of violence and what you get to see and how gruesome it is. Because there's just one specific scene that I'm thinking that we showed Nick before we recorded.
It's insane.
It's insane. And just you get to see some of the soldiers, how they pass in this movie, and I'm like, no one should have to watch that.
Yeah, but then again, too, like that's the reality of war.
It is, and it's so.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy.
They don't sugarcoat it one bit.
Yeah,
Man.
No.
and I think that's a smart move on Steven Spielberg's part, as well as the effects crew,
Yeah,
the
100%.
cinematographer, like all that stuff, because it really shows like how damaging this stuff really is, and how everybody pays a price in war, regardless on whatever side you're on.
Yeah.
And I think that it's done effectively, and they definitely didn't sugarcoat it for a reason.
Yeah.
And we can get into that too a little bit later into the episode. So,
But yeah, no, it was a good movie for sure.
yeah,
Yeah. So I misspoke last week. I said this was on Netflix.
it was, and then they took it off.
Took it off. It is currently on Paramount Plus. So if you have that, that's where it is. That's where I watched it. I'm sure you guys did as well.
Yes, I also saw it's on Pluto TV for free.
Oh.
So if you have Pluto TV, it's streaming there as well.
Okay, yeah. So I'll get into a brief synopsis, and then we can start talking about our favorite scenes. I'll be as brief as possible because it's kind of pretty linear.
Yeah.
So we are following Tom Hanks' character. His name is Captain Miller. He is pretty much the first wave on D-Day. He is surprising he made it out. He has his, they call him platoon, or what do they call him?
Their company.
The company. He has his company along with the other people in the first wave, and they're tasked to break through and to get grounds and to take the beach of D-Day. And he does that, and as he gets recollected with all of his crew, he gets a few others, and he gets a new task, which some would say is equally as difficult, would be to track down a Private Ryan and to bring him home to his mom.
Yep.
And they go to different cities to find him. He's not there. They get to see all the war-torn areas that all the Germans have occupied, and it's crazy to see what every single person in the war went through. Like, it was not easy for any single person. Everyone was going through the crap.
Yep.
And we just get to see their journey to Private Ryan. And so whenever they get there, we get to see what happens.
Yep. Yeah. So again, if you haven't checked this movie out, I would recommend it. Do so. It is a very good movie. It's not for the faint of heart.
No
so
way.
if you do not like seeing gore, if you don't like seeing a ton of violence, maybe this isn't the one for you. So if that's it, if that's you, listen to what we've got to say about it. Or if you want to check it out for yourself, go do so.
Yeah.
If you don't like spoilers, pause it, watch what you got to watch, and then come back or continue listening. So we'll go ahead and get started with the first of our categories, which is favorite scene. So what's your favorite, I would assume your first favorite scene is the opening.
I
right?
immediately want to talk about how chaotic and how immersive the storming of on the beach is.
Yeah.
It is completely engrossing to see. We start off with Captain Miller, and he's on the boat, and they don't know what they're heading to. Honestly, they're going to the beach. They don't know what's about to hit them. And then when those doors hit, you just get to see the rain of bullets come in.
Yep.
And to see how many people died in a matter of a second, is insane. And I don't know. For me, I think a lot of why this scene is part of my favorite is because of the CGI or the lack thereof. I mean, it all seems very practical. The camera work here is incredible. I usually don't like shaky cam, but in this instance, I think it works.
I think you almost need shaky cam for almost a scene like this.
That was the first thing I had written down on what really did work for me with this film was the cinematography.
Yes.
It feels like guerrilla warfare.
It does.
Like and I feel like I'm in the crap with them. Like I'm moving alongside with them, hitting the beach. Like there's a moment, there's a shot where they're bringing up the Bangalores, and they tell everybody to hit the floor, and you see the camera go and like go down with them. I'm like, this is sick, dude. I love this. It's like that throughout the entire film.
Yeah. There's also another scene too where it's right at the beginning when they're jumping off of the boats and the camera is kind of bobbing up and down through the water.
Yeah.
And it made me feel like I was a soldier, like recording all of this.
Yeah.
Which I really, really enjoyed. But this honestly has to just do with a lot of death and how they kind of break through and like every inch they make progress. And when it seems like it's going to fail, they finally break through. Yeah. And that success scene, I was like, let's go. They're going to survive. I love this. You know what I mean? And I think it also helps, too, to see Tom Hanks here because he's such a well-known actor now. Mm-hmm. And at first, it was a little jarring to see him in a war movie like this because to me, he doesn't seem like the kind of actor to really hone in that kind of the necessity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at first I was like, I don't know how I'm going to feel about him. But to see him storm that beach and to see all of his comrades die and him, like he's literally trying to help people. And as he's dragging bodies, they're disintegrating from him.
Yeah.
And you just get to see there's camera work too where it slows down and he's just in complete shock of what's happening.
Some guy going,
where's my
looking around for his arm.
Yeah. It was just super effective, and it got me to really, really care for Tom Hanks as an army man, and as and all the people we come to know afterwards. I just think it was a completely effective way to start this.
Yeah, I really enjoy too. Before seeing the soldiers before they land on the beach, and like seeing how young some of these guys are.
Gosh,
seeing them throw up, and like how scared everybody is. They're just terrified for what they're about to go do, and some of them know, like,
this is the last thing I'm going to do.
I'm going to die. Like, I'm here to die. That's insane. And seeing some of the fear in those guys' eyes, as well as, like, Tom Hanks and him knowing, like, a lot of these guys are not going to make it home is just insane. But, yeah, I remember the first time watching this scene and just seeing the sheer, like, how visceral, like, the violence is and the gore, like, I was blown away,
Yeah.
especially for it being in 1998.
Yep.
Look, a lot of these effects and stuff like still hold up. Like I still like. It's hard to watch sometimes. Like that guy, whenever his intestines
Are
are
out,
all out,
he's
he's
just
like he's going, oh God. I immediately was like, oh dude.
This is what I want to bring back to the Four Brothers episode, because he was laying there saying, "Mama, Mama,"
Yeah.
and I was like, "See, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
This is how you show true and utter pain and just terror of dying."
Yes.
Which I think was super effective. Another scene I wanted to talk about, which I think is insanely visceral, is when they finally break through after those Bangalores go through, and they're running up, they're covering fire, and they get all the way up to that. What do you call that? It's like a bunker style.
Yeah, I think that they called them like death boxes or something like that, because
Yeah.
they have the machine guns in there.
MG42s.
Yeah, and they're just mowing down everything that's on the beach from
Dude,
there.
Yeah.
I hate this. What I wrote down in that scene is they got the perfect Keddy.
Oh my gosh!
Oh,
like
yeah.
a COD.
Like a COD game.
Yeah,
I
for
will
real.
say, Call of Duty World at War. This harkens back a lot to that game.
Yeah,
So it's cool to see that. But the scene I wanted to talk about was when they bring
that
the
flamethrower.
flamethrower.
Dude, insane.
Dude, it's one of the crazy things that I thought was when they bring out the flamethrower is you see them burning the enemy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
And
the guy says, "Don't shoot, let them burn."
yeah.
I was just like,
Dude, they're pissed.
they're just gonna let just. I mean, I get it. I don't get it, but I get it. If that makes sense. Like, you want to
Well-
see them suffer? They just killed a bunch of your brothers.
Yeah,
But
well,
also,
and the
like-
same thing too. Like you do want to save ammo as
Yeah,
well.
I didn't
like if
think
you,
about that
It's
actually.
a two birds kind
Yeah.
of deal.
yeah, like why would you waste ammo on somebody who you
Yeah.
know is gonna die?
You
right
get to
now?
see them, being terrorized, burned to death, and you get to save some bullets. So
But
Two
the
for
way
one.
that the flamethrower just shoots out of that,
yeah,
death box,
Yeah,
it's
it
just-
comes out. It's
and
insane.
then you see,
They're
insane.
Yeah.
crawling out of the
Yeah.
hole, trying to. Yeah.
yeah, I think the scene really does serve to help us feel a really good victory for all the bodies that we've lost. Now we're gaining ground.
Yes.
But it also, I think, is to serve. It's to kind of get you to question, like, man, there's a lot, like, on both sides. There's just death.
Yes.
And it's like it kind of made me question the sanctity of human life, and like just to see all those bodies, they're literally just meat.
Yeah.
Like they're just floating. They paint the ocean red,
Yeah.
and
insane.
there's no regard for human life here.
No.
It
That-
blows me away.
And that's why I was like, why wouldn't you just put them out of their misery? Because I think that's just the human nature in me. Just be like, just kill them already. Like, I hate to say it like that. But like, stop watching this.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah, I would think too. At this moment, I feel like fear and rage is the only thing driving them.
Yeah.
Because if they didn't have those things, they'd end up like up them and
Yeah.
just
Exactly.
just-
you have to have that kill or be killed mentality.
yeah. And I think that's what the army and the training camps are building you for.
Yep.
They're breaking you down and building you into a machine.
I've seen that in Full Metal Jacket.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think having that context and bringing it in here is perfect
Yeah.
to know what they went through.
I think what's insane too is that this movie isn't. So this scene isn't technically the intro, right? The intro, we get introduced to this old man going to this park, and there's tons of graves of World War II veterans, and
Yeah.
he's going through and having a really traumatic time looking for these names. And right whenever he sees a specific name, he starts to have a flashback, and that's when we get brought into Normandy. But that whole entire sequence, the storming of Omaha Beach, is a
Insane.
24-minute sequence. Like that sequence alone is 24 minutes of just nonstop.
And it doesn't feel like 24 minutes.
No,
to be
not at
honest.
all. It
It's
feels like it goes
quick.
by fast.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I think really works for this movie is the pacing. Like Steven Spielberg,
Killed it. He knew what he was doing.
He knows how to make this movie feel like it is less than 2 hours when it's almost 3.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that really works here for this movie,
Mm-hmm.
especially just taking into consideration this opening scene.
Gosh, yeah. I feel like we're gonna spend most of our time talking about this just because of how visceral it was and how impactful it was. And I will say too, there was one scene where, they were all the death box was still up there. There's people in it, and they were all just laying down, like wishing that they're not gonna get shot and laying down. And then one of the guys goes, pick up ammo, and the guys crawl back to people who are still alive and take the ammo off of them.
Yeah,
Yes.
but again, now going to what Isaiah was saying, they know those people are gonna die,
Yeah.
and they can't.
That
They
sucks.
can't
There's only
save
so
him.
much you can do to help.
Yeah.
Like I immediately think of Wade, who's
Yes.
the medic, and he's like working on somebody. He stops the bleeding, and then that guy that's getting worked on ends up getting shot in the head.
And
And he's just like, all that work I just did is for nothing. Are you kidding me? He starts getting pissed and cussing and all that stuff.
yeah, that's another angle I wanted to bring up because we get to see all the death, and then we get to see the guys trying to fix.
Trying to fix people on the beach, like with all this gunfire and
Triage.
all thing just going on. It's insane.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I have to say too, I really enjoy this scene, and how it depicts how, like, whenever we were getting brought onto the beach, Captain Miller had this plan, right? Of like, you know, we're gonna hit here, and do all this stuff, and then as soon as they got on the beach, the plan just disappeared.
Yeah.
I feel like you can't make a plan when there's so much happening, and you have no control of the situation.
Yeah, one of the quotes, I think he says, someone asks him, "Hey, what do we do?" They're hiding by those, whatever they are, the things
yeah,
that
those little, I don't know what they're called. They're little
I don't
X
know,
thingies.
yeah.
they're like,
They're like barricades almost,
Yeah.
like blockades to like stop ships from coming on.
yeah. Someone asks him, "Hey, Captain, what are we doing?
Where's
We're
the
here."
rally point?
Yeah, what are we
Yeah.
doing? And he goes,
Anywhere from here.
anywhere but here.
Yeah.
Literally, the plan is to get out of here.
Yeah.
And I think it's because once you climb up the beach of Normandy and you finally get on land, those bunkers or whatever the death boxes, that gun's not gonna be able to go down.
No.
So, I mean, essentially,
You have to be able to get under it, so
Yeah.
that way you can try to maneuver around it.
Yeah.
So, like when Captain Miller says anywhere but here, that's the smartest thing to do.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
you may think those things are gonna protect you,
Yeah,
but there's so many people and there's so many enemies up top. There's no way.
yeah,
There's no
yeah.
way.
I love this entire sequence and how it shows just how unorganized and chaotic
Yeah.
war is. Like, you know, you go in with a plan, but once you're in it,
You're in
that
it.
plan is like, it goes out the window and it
Mhm.
changes within seconds, and you have to be able to adapt to that. And I think that they portray that really well here.
Yeah. There's
Mhm.
another difficulty of war that I never really think about, and it kind of was highlighted in this scene here was, I feel like there could be a lot of friendly fire.
Yeah,
Just because, you know, when
Yeah.
they get up and they're going to the kill box, they don't look very much different.
no.
Honestly, they really don't. So it's like you could completely accidentally just be like, "Brah, brah, brah,"
Yeah,
and be like, "Oh crap, that was my
Well,
friend."
that's one
Yeah.
thing that
Maybe
like,
not that easy, but you know what I mean. There could be
some of the writing in this movie kills. I love because further on in the movie we get a part where they go thunder
Yeah,
and
I
they
do
go
like that.
flash, come in, and I was just like, that's so
It's
smart.
code.
That's so smart. That's like, that's the only way you can tell the difference between enemy and non-enemy.
Yeah,
Yeah. Otherwise, you're getting shot on
Yeah.
sight.
exactly.
Because if you look at the uniforms, it's what
It's-
It's
color
like green and
It's-
then a blue, but you can't really go based off that because you're in the trenches. You got
Yeah.
dirt everywhere. It's
Yeah.
almost like everyone's wearing brown at that point
Exactly.
and red, brown and blood. Honestly, so it's like it would be difficult there.
Yeah, one of the other things too that this towards the end of this scene that really was like, man, that's insane, was whenever they get up on top of those trenches and all the Germans start, you know, coming out and they just start like
No.
killing them off like fish in a barrel.
Yeah.
dude, and they
I would-
surrender.
Yeah,
They
and
surrender.
This is one of the quotes that they say. He goes, "Hey, what do you say?" Because he goes, "I got dressed up for supper," and
yeah, and then they go.
they're
boom,
just
boom,
laughing.
boom. They s-
Yeah.
yeah.
I
There
was
is no
like-
surrender in a situation like that.
It was insane.
Honestly, I don't think he could. Just die at that point.
Yeah, it was,
And if the fact that there was no time either, it's like you literally just killed like 1,000 of my men. I'm gonna go up there and you're surrendering because we had the high ground.
yeah.
Come on, you know what I mean?
The high ground, Anakin.
The one, you know what? The one character.
Sorry.
Now you're gonna get people requesting that movie,
Yeah, for real.
and we're gonna have to watch the whole freaking.
Episode 3.
Yeah, gonna have to
I've
watch it
never
all.
even seen it. I just know the quote.
You underestimate my power.
Okay, sorry.
The one character I want to bring up, which I honestly think is one of my favorite characters, is the sniper guy. I think his name is Jackson.
Dude, he's
Yeah.
goated.
He's so cool because he goes, "Hey, there's a perfect spot over there. You go that way and I'll cover fire." And he gets there, and then he starts reciting. I think it's a Bible
Yeah,
thing
a
where
Bible verse.
or I think he's praying at this moment where he's saying like, "God grant me strength," you know,
He says, "Oh my God, I trust in thee."
clear my conscience or whatever.
Yeah,
and he's like,
yeah.
and then he goes and he just goes, and that body flies out.
Yeah,
I think it's it's such a good characterization of this character because he is the most guiltless of characters, and it's because he has his religion kind of helping him through it.
Yeah.
And it's perfect for him to be the sniper and him to be the one that's, doing the most damage.
Yeah.
And then him to sleep like a baby in later scenes.
Yeah.
I love that we got this start of his character here.
Yeah.
And it really got me to care about him.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. But
All right. Any other things that we loved about the storming of Normandy?
I think we hit them all. I literally, my first favorite scene, at least on my list, I literally said the first 30 minutes of this movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's just, we get introduced to this character who we don't know anything of, and he's just looking at a grave. And immediately you get yourself thinking like, all right, who's this? And then we get to
We get to the flashback. And it's almost like the same shot, right? Because it goes into this old man's eyes, and then it cuts to
to the boat
to D-Day, and we see like a similar shot come in on Tom Hanks' eyes.
Yeah. So
So
immediately we're like,
this is Tom
This is
Hanks'
Tom
character.
Hanks. He's
just
reminiscing.
old,
Yeah.
he's thinking about the war.
yeah.
and it's just immediately just pulls you in, and then chaos happens.
Yeah.
That's just, I think we hit it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into our next favorite scene.
What you guys got?
I feel like this kind of, I categorize the same thing with like The Social Network, and the fact that like this movie feels so fluid,
Continuous.
like and it just, there's no stopping points at all, to where I'm like, dude, it's hard to pick a favorite scene. So my next one isn't until I think maybe like an hour in, where they're at the radar site.
Okay, see, I only wrote down 2
Okay.
because one, you're gonna be so not shocked, but I have like 16 or 17 bro moments.
Yeah, I figured.
We'll get into the chunk of the movie with that for sure.
But my next favorite scene is right after they get the new orders to go find
Ryan. Okay.
And it's when the sniper takes his next big shot, and it's when
Oh, I love this.
this is my
next favorite scene too. Yeah.
So do you want to say it, or you want?
No, bring it up. I want to hear about it.
So we get to this. I don't know the city. I forget the city's name.
It's a small French
village
town.
Yeah, a small village, a town. And it's all, there is friendlies and there's enemies there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this is where we get to see the flash happen, or the thunder and flash. And we get to the scene where, so Vin Diesel's in this movie, which crazy to me.
Yeah.
His name
She
is
reminds me of my niece, sir.
Of course,
he-
it's family, bro.
Yeah.
Family. No,
even
I wrote it
even
down.
then.
Even then.
Even before Fast and Furious, he knew what family was.
Yes, sir.
So his name is Private Caparzo.
Yes.
And he sees this French family, and they're obviously scared. Like, you see their house is just rubble, and it's just their second story, and this little girl's crying. So you see him finally just go get the girl. Caparzo does, and Captain Miller's just like, no, what are you doing? Like, give her back. We have no time for this. And that's when you said, reminds me of my niece. So Captain Miller yanks her out, and they're holding her, and then Caparzo gets shot out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know where.
Falls on that piano.
Dude,
Yeah.
I thought that was
Smart.
that was pretty cool.
It was smart.
Yeah.
And so he gets shot, and everybody's like freaking out. Where the heck did he get shot from? Blah blah blah. And then the sniper's like, I think it was from this way, and sets himself up. He's pretty well hidden, and this is where I just love it. He's just, I feel like it's almost like a sniper's.
It's like a duel, kind of.
Like a duel,
Yeah.
but he's reciting like this. I feel like this sniper's prayer, essentially. I feel like is what he's saying. And you see the enemy just looking, and the enemy has Caparzo on their side, and sees the other people, but doesn't want to shoot them. I'm guessing.
Yeah. Well, he looks at the blood that is like funneling off, and he sees that Caparzo keeps talking.
Yeah,
like
he's like kind of like-
give him
he
this
has his
letter.
death note,
Yeah.
I need you to send this letter. Promise me you'll send me this letter. And so the sniper sees he's talking to other people, so he's like gonna pick them off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's whenever he sees the helmet in
It
the
goes-
rubble. And
Dude,
by the time
and
he
then
sees it,
this-
it's too late.
And as soon as he sees the helmet, you hear a gunshot. And at first, I assumed it was the enemy. And then
I did too.
And then it goes like the transition to the enemy. He gets shot through
through the
sniper
scope,
Yeah.
in his eye.
in his eye, and it's just gone.
Have you ever played that game Sniper Elite 3?
Dude, yes.
Where it's like you
You
shoot
see
it and the bullet
death-
goes.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
get to see him like X-ray through the body. That's
Yeah.
honestly what it reminded me of.
yeah.
But then we see that, and honestly, it's such a big sigh of relief for me, because you're like, nobody else can get shot. Like,
Yeah.
this guy took care of the problem. That guy's KIA.
Yeah.
Killed in
Yeah.
action.
I have a fact here. It's fitting to bring it up here. That whole shot was done in one take, and there was no computer-generated graphics of any kind. It was all practical.
That's awesome.
I wonder how. That's so weird. Then
Yeah, it's
that's so
Seeing-
bizarre. Because he
seeing
gets
how-
shot in his eye and it blows up.
Yeah, so I have the fact of how they did that. So his perfectly aimed shot was achieved with a shot-through-eye appliance that was attached to the rear of the enemy sniper scope. When the sight was raised, the eye of the actor, stuntman, his name is Leo Stransky, the gore eye stuck to his face. This was timed with a small explosive in the sight and an air cannon attached to his head.
bro.
Yeah.
That's
So
insane.
the air
So
cannon
it
moved
got
out
in
and
his
kind of hurt.
kickback.
Yeah.
That's gonna hurt.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he still has an eye, so he's putting like a thing on top of his eye and then going, and it's hitting him. You know?
That's why it was done in one take.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do another take.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting because it
But-
looked genuinely like he got his eye shot out.
Yeah.
Again, it was just such a stressful situation, and you get this big sigh of relief, and you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
gosh, I'm so happy that happened.
Yeah.
And I know it's obviously you're killing someone, but man, that guy
Well,
deserved
and
it.
it's a weird too because it's a sigh of relief, but then it's also like but we lost Caparzo.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah,
Yeah. And that's like one of the first deaths that we see like from
That
this,
we're
from this
attached.
company where we're attached, where we see these guys made it out and now they get tasked with the mission of finding Private Ryan, and this is the first guy to go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know?
This scene, gave me the heavy feels of like, knowing in this company is safe. And it really gave me, I was already thinking like, okay, he died. They're going to slowly chip away at this group and take away the people that we love most.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's going to suck. It's going to suck. But I really enjoyed it here.
yeah,
Yeah.
It was just such a good scene.
Yeah. But after that, they end up finding another company with Paul Giamatti,
Yes,
who's the leader of that
Paul
company.
Giamatti.
And they end up, going through a couple more areas of this village. They take out some more of the Germans, and then they end up sleeping in some church.
Yes.
And that's when I really like this character Wade, the medic.
I do too.
He
His story about his mom.
yes,
I love
and
this.
he goes to the church and he promises Caparzo that he's gonna like rewrite the note to send to his father.
Yeah,
And so he's sitting down there.
it's so heartbreaking because Caparzo says, "Take it. It has blood. It has blood. You're not gonna be able to read it."
Yeah,
And I'm just like, "Come on, just go get it."
yeah. But he gets tasked with like rewriting it and then sending it on Caparzo's behalf.
Yeah.
And then Wade starts to tell his story about his mom, and it's like a really heartbreaking one. And I think it's one that anyone can relate to
Yeah.
as well, where he starts to reminisce about being a kid and talking about how my mom would, we really started to like, our relationship was really hit or miss, before I left, and it would suck because I would get home from school, she wouldn't be there, she'd be working, and then she would get home like right as I'm about to go to sleep, and that was the only time we really ever got to see each other. And so the only thing she ever wanted to do was talk. And there were even times where she would get home early and I would just pretend that I was asleep because I didn't want to talk.
And he was like,
I'd give anything for that right now.
Why did I do that?
Yeah, to be able to talk to my mom. Why would I do that? Why would I pretend like I was asleep?
Yeah,
And it's one of those moments where we're just like, man, I take that stuff for granted, like all the time. And these guys are out there putting their lives on the line for, for us. And we sit here scrolling our phones and being like, oh, hey, Mom. Oh, yeah, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
And these guys don't get the luxury of doing that.
No
And
way.
it was a really heartbreaking, heartfelt scene. And it made my favorite scene, which is when they go to that radar site.
Oh yes.
So it made that scene hit even more for me. This is the first part where I cried.
Oh
In
really?
this movie, because we get, the company starts pulling up to this radar site, and they can either go around it and it would take longer to go around, or they can go through it and make sure that there's no enemy in there, so that way the next company that comes through doesn't have to like fight.
Doesn't have to get sabotaged.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Captain Miller is like, we're not going to go around it. We're gonna do the right thing, and we're gonna kill everybody that's in here essentially, and make sure that there's no harm to any of our guys that may come through here. And in doing so, he puts 2 more people, I believe, of his company at risk. And Wade eventually ends up dying in this scene. And one of the things that really made me cry was hearing him, like, when he got shot, and he was just like, where am I? He kept saying, like, where am I bleeding? Am I bleeding a lot? I don't, like, know where I got shot. And then you see this hole just keep gushing blood. And then, they turn him on his side, and he's like, there's an exit wound on the back.
Good.
So you're good, but we just need to be able to hold, like, make the bleeding stop. And he keeps, they're putting a ton of pressure on it. It's just blood just keeps coming. And he starts to say, I don't want to die. I don't want to die.
Mm-hmm.
And that was where I was like, I started tearing up. And then he started saying, Mom, Mommy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I started getting real teary-eyed, dude, because I was like, dude, this guy misses his mom.
Yeah.
And he's just terrified about what's going to happen in the next, matter of seconds. And then it's this moment that really broke me when he, everyone's looking around and they're scrambling. They don't know what to do.
They're pouring powders.
Yeah,
they're
putting all this stuff on him. They're getting him water. They're trying to stop the bleeding. And then Captain Miller just kind of looks at him and says, how do we fix you? Mm-hmm. What do we do to fix you? And Wade just has this look of like, it's no use. I'm far gone. And he said, more morphine.
Yeah, that's
would
just
help. That would just help to
He's
numb
just gonna
the pain, so that way I can just slip off.
Mm-hmm.
And you see him put morphine in, and then he just keeps asking for more, and you eventually see him just kind of slip away. Mm-hmm. And it was like, man, dude, I couldn't imagine, like, being put in a situation where you're helpless and you're the only buddy that can help anyone else, but no one can help you.
That's what I was gonna say. It's all that much more difficult to watch because 1, we like this character, and 2, he has like this innate more value. It's hard to say it like that, but it's true because he's the medic. He's the one that could get people off the lines and patch them up so they can go and continue fighting.
Yeah.
And again, he has no one to help him.
Yeah.
So it literally feels hopeless in this moment.
Yeah. So now at this point, there have been 3 people in the company who have died.
Yep.
And it's at this point too, once the fighting is over and they've won, they get put in a predicament where there's one guy who is surrendering.
Oh yes.
And he is saying like, I'm not going to do anything. I like America. I like America.
F Hitler.
Yeah, and he's like trying to, win over these guys to let him live. Yeah. And they get tasked with either killing this guy or doing the right thing and letting him go because he surrendered and because he's not
POW now.
Yeah, he's considered a prisoner now. It's not ethical. And we get put in this situation where not only he's doing that, so that guy's digging graves. They're making him dig graves for the people that he killed. Oh, and then the crew starts to fall apart as well. And they're like, dude, I don't want to go save this guy. He better be worth it because 3 of our men have died now. And we're only saving 1. Mm-hmm. Like, this guy better go on to, like, create a longer lasting light bulb or cure some disease or something like that. Because at this point, like, he is worth 3 of our men. Mm-hmm. And I really like how they show the crew, like, despite there being a commanding officer in place, really pushing back on him and being I'm leaving. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'll walk back.
Yeah, even that scene was. I would consider this scene more tense than the action beforehand, honestly, because it's people we know and it's people that he has a gun pulled at him and he's
pointing
like
guns at each other.
He's like, you're pathetic. You're a coward.
Yeah.
I was biting my nails here because I was like, oh crap, he really seems like he's gonna do it. Because one of the guys
was.
I can't remember his name, but one of the guy was super loyal to Captain Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the sergeant, right?
I think so.
Yeah, it was Sergeant Hovarth.
Hovarth.
Yeah, he's the dude collecting all the
Horvath, whatever. I forget.
It's spelled Horvath.
Yeah, Horvath. I would say. Yeah. I love the way that the tension kind of breaks this scene too, because this whole time we've been getting Upham. He's getting to know everyone, and everyone's
He's
like,
trying to be the moral,
yeah,
like the moral compass of the group too, and letting that guy live.
yeah, and he's the one who kind of convinces them to do it. But the whole time he's asking people, "Hey, where'd you come from? What'd you do?" And they all kind of give him crap for it. And he goes to talk to the captain, and everyone's like, "Oh,
We have no idea.
We have no idea. We don't know."
There's a prize pool up to $300 right now as to try to figure out what it is that he does.
Another part of the favorite scene is when Captain Miller is like, What's the prize up to, or what's the pool up to now? 300, 300, and then he starts to say where he came from.
I'm a school teacher. I teach English composition out of like
Philadelphia, I think, or something like that.
Something like that. And he was like, I never thought I'd be here, and I never tell people what it is that I do back home because I just think that they wouldn't believe me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny too. I had actually read that the speech that he gives was actually supposed to be like way longer.
Was it?
But Tom Hanks had thought that, given his character being like kind of a man of few words, that he wouldn't go into this like long monologue. He would just say what he needed to say, and that'd be it.
Mm.
And Steven Spielberg liked that actually, so they decided to like cut down the speech quite a bit.
I'm thankful for that because it seemed to be perfect timed.
Yeah, but yeah, I love that he decides to. There's all this tension that's going on right now. Like people are threatening to leave, and then Captain Miller decides to break the tension by saying, "You guys want to know what I do?
I'm a school teacher.
This is me. This is what I do. I'll break it down a bit. And I'll get real with you guys." And him doing that, like, brings the group back together, and it makes them feel like, okay.
That's what we needed to hear.
We're all one now.
Yeah.
Like, we all know something about one another. You're not just this mysterious guy that's leading us. We know something about you now.
Yeah.
You know?
And he even goes on to say, the only reason I'm doing this is because I want to get back home to my wife.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that's pushed me forward. So saving this one guy, if that'll get me home, then I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And all the guys are immediately like, I agree.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what kind of bonds them together because he gives them a driving force.
Yeah.
It's not about, losing our lives and all that stuff. It's about getting back home.
Yeah.
Which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
This scene was crazy.
Yeah. And then I believe it ends with this guy, the prisoner of war that they have now. They're either going to kill this guy or they're going to let him go. And they go into this big argument about him being a prisoner and how, it's not right. And immediately they get some rag and they blindfold the guy. Mm-hmm. Now, my immediate thought, I had already seen this movie, but I forgot.
My immediate
thought was like, they're going to let him walk and then going to kill him while he's walking. But, Captain Miller puts the blindfold on him and looks to Upham and says, tell him to walk 1,000 paces without taking the blindfold off. And then once he does, to go to the nearest village or something like that. And, makes him start walking. And we see that they let him live. And it was just like, wow, okay, well, like, that's, before, now knowing the knowledge we have now, obviously wish things would have went differently. But at the time, we're kind of like, okay, well, there's still, a moral compass in Captain Miller where he can be like this,
straightforward.
Like this anchor, and this person who is, of the utmost honor,
mm-hmm.
and will, not, partake in like war crime and, honor, the code of war. And, if somebody surrenders, then you let them live and all that stuff. You don't kill somebody just because. And I think that small gesture, like, just adds to the character of Captain Miller. And then, there's a ton of other things that happened later in the movie, which I'm sure we'll get into, that add on to that.
For sure. Yeah.
I don't have any more favorite scenes because they're all bro moments for me.
Okay.
All right.
What about you?
I have I titled it as the calm before the storm scenes. Do you have anything before that or no?
So the only scene I have before the entire bridge fight.
Yeah.
That whole thing was Private Ryan's when we find Private Ryan at this, village where they're holding this last bridge, and that's like the last point where, they have any point of contention with the Germans. Ryan starts to talk about this story, that he has with his brothers with Captain Miller. And is this before?
Yeah, this is the calm before the storm.
Okay.
That I'm talking about.
So I really enjoyed seeing a lot of this calmness because it felt like things were normal.
Yeah.
And, it felt like, these guys were just kind of sitting around, despite like the background being
war-torn.
Like, yeah, like rubble and just, things are just desecrated. And, they're just sitting around and sharing stories, listening to music, smoking cigarettes, and, preparing for what it is they're about to do whenever these, Germans come through this area.
Yeah.
And this scene, in Private Ryan talking about this memory that he has with his brothers and his oldest brother messing around with this girl in a barn.
Yeah.
It felt so real and so genuine that it like brought a huge smile to my face whenever I'm watching Matt Damon's character talk about this stuff. But then it also brought like tears of joy because I was like, this feels like a slice of home, like I'm able to think about this memory despite, my brothers dying in war and me being the only one left. But, I'll always have that. I'll always have that memory. And, my brother was pissed at me at the time, but, I'm sure he thanks me now.
Yeah.
And, those are the things that I like to think about with the context of my brother's passing away. And I really enjoyed, like, there are certain shots of Tom Hanks like reacting to the story, and it feels very genuine from him as well, where he's just kind of like, I can't believe you're telling me this, or like this is such a young man's story, and I just loved this this little character building moment of Private Ryan, and again just that entire moment of stillness and feeling like everything is okay for just a little bit before, like you said, the calm before the storm.
Yeah. The scenes I'm talking about are when they do like the montage scenes of them creating the sticky C4s and the sticky grenades and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because Private Ryan, he says, look, I'm not leaving here. This bridge is too important to leave. My mom will for sure understand. Like, you just tell her I'm not going. I don't care. I don't care what you say. And, they think, okay, the only way to do it is to help them. So they get there and they're like, you see that tower over there? That's a good lookout. You guys go up there, put the Brownings up there. You guys, like, how much sticky TNT do you have? They start putting it in socks. I even like the scene too where
you see the guy
shoe back on
with no socks on.
Yeah, I was like, you didn't have to include that, but it's smart.
Yeah,
because someone had to give a sock up.
Yeah.
So they fill the sock ups. They put the whatever that blast jelly, that sticky stuff around it
it's
is.
It's axle grease to make it stick. Yeah.
Which
and
is
then
still pretty sticky.
Yeah.
And then they have the whole idea of, look, this over here, that's the Alamo. If we really get pushed back, the last person across this bridge is blowing it. So we get the whole setup. We get the setup. They're going to use these bombs. They're going to, sabotage them as good as they can. And if they can't, the bridge is going to be blown.
Yeah.
So it's setting us up for the storm coming along. And, man, that freaking tension of the storm coming is
insane.
Ooh, I love it.
When we see the tank, that first, like, Panzer tank cross, and it doesn't go, we're like, oh, no. Oh, yeah, dude. I was like, it's not going to work, dude. The plan's gone.
Yeah.
And then, another one goes by, and then that huge tank stops and looks, and then goes and starts going down. I was like, oh, shoot. Okay, is this going to work?
Yeah.
What's going to happen, man?
I started like, it might sound weird, but when you like get tense, you start clenching your butt cheek a little bit.
Yeah.
No. When it turned, I was like, oh shoot, dude. Like,
yeah.
Like it was almost like I was prairie dogging. That's how mad I was. That's how bad I was clenching.
No, you get off your chair and it goes.
Yeah,
because it's such a cut.
But when seeing that tank, that raised my stress level.
Yeah.
It seems impossible.
It seems impossible. There's not 10, 12 guys.
Yeah.
Against what the guy says 50 enemy.
50 plus
50
infantry
plus
and
with 4
tanks.
tanks.
Yeah.
Impossible.
Yeah.
I don't know what else I couldn't.
No, I'm just saying because they even say like the stuff we have now it's just like little pea shooters compared to what they got.
Yeah.
So they really set it up to be.
And the thing too that to even drive home the point of impossibility, they have very limited ammo. They only have a lot of explosives, and they drive home that point of like, we don't got much ammo for the 30, the 30 caliber rifles. We're short on grenades. We do have a lot of like C4 and dynamite and stuff like that and everything, but
You got to get real personal to
Yeah.
use those, though.
Yeah.
and you got to get, like you said, like really close in order to use that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and then it gets into this entire crazy scene where they are just fighting these tanks, and I think it's so insane too. Whenever the tank is coming down and those first explosions go off, and that's when everything just starts to go insane.
And yeah.
And like let's name a couple of
Dude,
of
one of the biggest ones that's insane is that first tank when they blow up everybody and they 3 or 4 people of the friendlies go up there and throw grenades in there.
Yeah.
They just open it and just
and go
boom, and then just disperse. And I'm just like, holy cow, like
Yeah.
that's insane.
Another
Yeah.
crazy one was them getting the Molotov cocktails and throwing them on it.
throwing them.
That's smart.
Yeah,
Good idea. Yeah.
yeah.
This
I-
is one of the ones is the most gruesome scene.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think,
dude.
in my opinion.
No, that
is-
one, and then when that panker gun, the like
The,
rolling
like the 20 mil or something like that. Yeah.
and they start shooting the guys that are on top of it. You see them just get
like
shredded,
ripped apart.
like ground beef.
I mean, I remember
like, oh, dude, it's
I remember the
insane.
gun coming out, but the thing that I'm talking about is they're using their first sticky bomb.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
that's-
that guy lights
he's kind of. I mean, it's kind of.
He's not fast enough,
He's not
bro.
fast enough.
he
dude.
lights it way too early
He
too.
lights it way too early, like you said, and then he's running to go attach it to the tank, and all you see it zoom out, and all you see is ground beef.
Yeah,
No,
dude.
less than ground beef, bro.
Yeah, dude.
Like grape jelly.
Yeah,
you
dude.
get some jam preservatives from Costco. That's
Yeah.
what
A
it
little
is.
bit, little bit of bone.
Yeah, dude. He
Literally, he's gone.
explodes.
He's gone.
There's nothing there anymore. He's matter.
It was. Yeah,
It was insane. I remember watching it last night and seeing that, and I was just like, "Holy cow!"
No,
dude,
I
like,
remember watching it.
that's
and said,
insane.
"Oh," and like that's when
Yeah.
I clenched more. I don't know why I said
Dude,
it like that.
Insane.
The scenes I wanted to talk about are when they start to get overwhelmed. These are the scenes that I absolutely love because they drove the tension even higher.
Yeah.
No,
You know-
I don't like it. I was stressed.
I was so stressed. We get the whole impossible odds, but at the beginning they seem to be fighting back. They take a few tanks out. They blow up the tracks of one tank, so that one's
Yep.
out of commission,
Yep.
killing a bunch of guys. But then there's a flank of 50 guys going on the right. The 2 guys that are in the building are running out of ammo, and Upham is being incompetent as ever.
Oh, dude.
We didn't even.
First off,
we don't
wait,
even
get
talk about it
Upham.
because he doesn't deserve to be
First
talked
off,
about.
No,
His
Upham
whole-
sucks.
I was getting so your Siri was going like
Your
crazy.
Siri was
What's it
going
going
on.
on?
Yeah,
So
it
I
was
stopped. That's why I stopped
I
it.
was going,
appreciate
going crazy. But first off, Upham's whole character throughout that entire scene, where he's just like a running man to like deliver ammo,
Yeah.
and
That's all he's
Do
good
you
for.
know
They
there's-
tell him,
do you know
like-
there's poop in his pants?
oh, for sure,
And
for sure.
I'm gonna let you
He's
explain why.
But so I was getting so stressed for him because he'd go grab all this ammo and then like run and then stay in certain spots for a little bit and then run somewhere else, and then they'd be like, they don't need ammo over there, you need to go give ammo to Mellish or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, okay. So then he runs all the way back and then starts to go up to Mellish, and all of a sudden their machine gun's out of ammo. They have nothing left. So the only thing that they've got are like, their SMGs and MP40s or whatever they've got. And no, that's the M1 Grands.
Oh,
they have
dude.
it because
Dude.
because it goes
I
Yeah.
love the. That's one thing that really worked for me was the sound.
The sound
sound
design.
design.
Yeah,
Oh
was
my
insane.
gosh.
yeah. But they've only got like these like semi-automatic rifles after the machine gun is out of commission. And
You got to be pretty.
dude,
Get
I
on with that.
I got so stressed whenever Upham starts to go up to that side of the building, and then you see like 4 or 5 German guys come in on the other side, and Upham's just like scared to even go in. And as they go up,
Well-
like it's slow, and Mellish is hoping that Upham's going to be there with ammo, so he starts screaming, Upham, and no one answers. So then he shoots the wall, and I love the way that they decided to show the blood just come out. I was like, oh, I loved that, dude. It drove the tension even higher. Like it would have been perfect, like seeing like a body hit the floor, like a hand or something, but just seeing the blood just creep out over the corner, you're like, did he kill Upham? Did he kill it? Did he kill one of the Germans? We don't know.
Can you explain a little bit why Upham is the way he is, and
Yeah.
why he's not?
So
doing
I mean,
anything?
in the beginning of the film, whenever he gets taken, we see that he's like he makes maps and deciphers code and speaks German and French.
Yes.
And so whenever Captain Miller's company gets tasked with saving Private Ryan, they need somebody who can speak French and German, and they find Upham who can do that stuff. And whenever he gets tasked with coming with them to help decipher what it is that people say, he discloses the information that he has like not shot his rifle since basic training.
Yeah.
And like has not been in combat. He again, like we don't know how long it's been since he's been in basic. It could be a couple of months, it could be a year.
Yeah.
And he's only shot it since then. So this man does not know like the severity of war that like Captain Miller and these other guys do. And so whenever we talk about being so upset with Upham and like being like legitimately frustrated, like I felt like screaming at my screen.
freaking go.
I was like, dude, just go. Like, even
And I started thinking about like in my own head, like my thought
What would
process.
you do?
What would I do if I heard? So the
My-
part that really pissed me
My
off
comrades.
was
It's my people.
Exactly, was whenever he's on the stairs and he's staying there and he starts crying and he hears Mellish just they're like struggling, rolling around on the floor.
You have a duty.
and you have a calling,
Yeah.
to go save your brother.
Call of Duty. No way.
I mean, as cliched as it sounds,
Boom.
no, but no.
It's
Sorry.
mission failed. But like yeah, you have a calling to save your brother, and he could have done it. He had a fully loaded weapon, ammo
Everything-
on his neck to save these guys, and he let Mellish get killed
I
by
hate
this
this
guy,
scene.
man.
I hate
the
this
whole
scene.
time I didn't believe it because I genuinely thought that he was going to get saved. He had everything. They were fighting. He was walking up the stairs slowly, but I was like, dude, at the last minute, he's going to get saved.
Yeah.
But you see that knife slowly gouge into
No, and
his
this
chest.
is what I hate.
And I'm like,
is the enemy.
I'm like, what?
Is
He's
on
sitting there
top
and he's
of-
going, and he's
go-
just, you see him going,
Oh, I hate
I
it.
was like,
I hate it.
oh, dude, it's
And
unreal.
As bad as this sounds, if Upham would have even tried shooting that gun, attempted, he could have saved.
It would have scared the guy.
It
It would have
scared the
hit
guy. It would've
him.
been like-
It would have.
Yeah, who cares?
The
if it-
odds would have been in his favor.
oh, yeah.
Exactly, because the guy would have been like, "Oh shoot, there's two." He would have charged the man with the gun, and then
And then Mellish could have done
Mellish would
something.
have done something, and boom, bada boom, bada boom.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. And I think it's a success of the movie that we're really rooting for the character so much that we actually would hate one of the people that we're supposed to like.
Yeah.
Like, Upham, we like this guy. Go save him.
It was even more of a bro moment too. Whenever he's standing there
And
the
lets him
guy
walks past him.
walks past him and just stares at him, and then he stands up to let him go by.
And the guy knows he's not gonna do anything because he's
crying.
hurt him.
He's crying.
He's like, dude, you're not even worth killing.
yeah,
at this
and
point.
he just lets him go. I was like, are you kidding me, dude? You're that weak.
and it.
Like,
I'm just
man.
thinking about the end now, and it's just pissing me off even more.
Yeah.
Think of Captain Price saying, "Mission failed. We'll get him next
We'll
time."
get him next time.
Completely unfit for war in this moment, and
Yeah.
I'm clowning
and-
on him. But
Well,
I don't know
yeah,
what
I
I
know
would
him.
do.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like we
I don't
can sit
know.
here and throw stones, you know,
Yeah.
all day, but you get put in a situation like that. I mean, it's one of those things where like you get frustrated and you see something and you're like, man, I'd do different. But
I'd like to
th-
think I would.
I would like to think I would too. But,
But
then,
I
you
don't know.
You know, things get different whenever you get
Because
put in that
I'm
situation.
putting myself in his shoes right now, and you still got to give him props because he's probably helped out this military so much by, with translating and
Yeah.
building the maps and doing this. So he is an essential person for the military.
Yeah.
But he's not essential when, honestly,
When it comes to combat.
when it comes to combat, F him.
Yeah.
Let him die.
Get him out of there.
Yeah.
No, like
There's no way
forget
I'd
him.
want someone like him watching my back.
No,
Oh,
there's
no.
no way I would want.
You want somebody you know for sure is not
gonna pull the
is,
trigger.
is gonna that, but is also gonna save you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, and that's why, you know, I I really do believe, like, whenever people go into the Army and they talk about these guys are my brothers, like,
It's-
it's true. These guys would die for each other.
Yeah.
You know, and they'd do anything, and that's rare. That's
Mhm.
rare to have something like that in your life. So
Yeah.
But I mean, after that, this whole scene goes into
Them
like
retreating.
them retreating back past the
Well,
bridge, and
Even after this part, I feel like this is where it gets like bad for
Oh,
us
yeah,
because everybody's retreating. Like you
Yeah.
said, people are dying left and right that are on our side,
yeah.
and you're
Seeing
just
Jackson get blown
I-
up by
oh
that
my
tank,
gosh,
man.
dude.
It killed me because I loved him,
Yeah.
dude. I loved
It's
him.
just and it just gets where we get to the point where we're like, this is not going to work.
Yeah,
They're retreating. They're going to get overtaken by the enemies. There's so many people. There's nothing that we can do. They're running out of ammo. They get to the point where they're, I don't know what they call those rockets.
the mortars.
There's mortars, dude.
That was insane. They're
That's
going,
cool.
Boonk, throwing them because they don't have the actual machine
But
to
it's-
launch it.
Yeah.
So they're throwing them by hand, which is insane.
I want to kind of try that.
That's so dangerous.
I know
dude.
it's dangerous,
If you
but-
you set that thing and fat finger that, oh, you're dead.
Boom.
Fat finger.
You drop it,
Oh,
Butterfinger.
dude.
Like if you do not grab that thing and chuck it as far as it can go, you're
gone.
dead.
I think I would have to hit it like this. Like, how's the thing? Do you get how I'm say this is a
Yeah,
Can I see your cup? Can I see your cup?
just going like this. Pink.
No, so like, because when you throw it, you're gonna throw it like this.
Yeah.
So I would want I would want to hold it like this,
Oh,
so that I
okay.
can automatically just go boom, and then
Oh,
throw
and
it.
yeah.
then throw it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
getting blown up. The second you try that, you don't have the sleight of hand perk on for that, dude.
No.
Yeah. I don't know. That's what I think I would do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
yeah, that's crazy.
But we get to that point where they're like, we're out of ammo. Where do we go next? And they're like, we have this. This is what we can do.
Yeah.
And I am stressed that I'm gonna lose everybody.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna cry because everybody's gonna die.
Yeah.
It sucks to see your people lose.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's insane too. They go past the bridge and
Trying to
I
blow
think
it.
yeah, as they're, going passing the bridge, they're trying to set the bridge to blow, and that's when we see Captain Miller get shot as well as Sergeant Hovarth. He
Yeah.
gets shot, and they
Dude,
are out
and
of
I hate-
commission.
He says, "Oh, I just got the wind knocked out of me."
Yeah, he gets
And
straight
you
up
could
shot
see
in the chest.
shot.
And he's
Oh
like,
my
I just
God.
got the wind knocked out of me. I need to sit for a bit. I'm like, I'm good. I was like, oh man, this guy.
I'm like, bro, you're not good. You just got shot like 3 times.
Yeah. And, he's out of commission. He's, trying to, cope with that. And then we see Captain Miller gets shot. And then, we're, like everything is just, it's crumbling. And then out of nowhere we see, I
He's
love
like-
that scene
it's
too,
his
where like
last stand.
he's trying, like he's just trying
He's
with
just going-
everything he has. He's got a little handgun and he's just shooting at a tank that's coming at him, and
It's like throwing pebbles.
yeah, and he's just trying everything he's got to give to get Ryan out of here. And then we see, United States Air Force come in, drop bombs on that thing, and sort of save them essentially. And this is another part where I cried, man. Was watching Captain Miller die,
Yeah.
and him saying,
Earn
James,
this.
earn this, earn it, and then seeing him slowly, like you see his sentience just leave him, and that was where I was like, oh, dude, like I started crying, dude. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And then it's even a bigger bro moment too, because when you go into this film, you think you're watching it through his perspective.
This is exactly what I was going to talk about.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the biggest bro moments for me was getting my expectations subverted heavily.
Yeah.
I figured we were watching Captain Miller, reminisce about the war and all the people he didn't save.
Yeah.
And then to see him die at the very end, you're like, this is our guy.
Yeah.
This
You
is
know
who are we watching?
Yeah.
And then it does that transition scene
Yeah.
of, it's Private Ryan.
We've been watching through Private Ryan's perspective.
And I was like, oh, that's so smart.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Yeah. I really liked too how I really enjoyed that whenever we get to see Private Ryan old again, and we see his family behind him
Yeah.
and all that stuff. Like, I immediately started to think, like, what would I be thinking if I put myself in that situation? Why am I good enough to save? Why am I the guy that, like, these guys had to sacrifice their lives for me to
Yeah.
get back to my family so that way I could start my own? They didn't even get the luxury of doing that.
Yeah.
And I started putting myself in those shoes. And then whenever, we see him, he starts talking to him and he's like, I try to live my life the best that I could. And I'll start getting teary-eyed just repeating that. But he, you can really see that this guy just being so thankful that, he didn't even know this man, like barely on a personal level.
Mhm.
And he did everything he could to get him out and to save his life. And he did. And now he gets to, we see the fruits of that him being saved. He's got family that came with him to see this. He's got a wife, he's got kids, grandchildren, all that stuff. And, he just has to be able to accept that gift.
Mhm.
And, Captain Miller didn't get to have that gift, which sucks.
Yeah.
One thing that was, I'm trying to think if it's not like rewarding, but something that like worked. Not worked, but when Captain Miller dies, and you just throughout the movie we see his hand shaking.
Yeah. His
And it's
hand-
almost like
Yeah,
his
he's got like
tremors.
he's starting to get a tremor.
Yeah.
And when he dies, you finally see his
You see
hand
the-
down, and the camera just goes to his hand, and it's just
And it's still.
still. And that was so, like, I don't want to say rewarding because it sounds bad because I didn't want him to die,
Yeah.
but it is rewarding.
It's a nice little
Callback.
wrap up to
Yes.
to seeing, him shaking the entire time, and now he has stillness,
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it of course, whenever freaking when he
That's
when he
when I cried.
salutes, I was all
That's when I cried. I cried.
I started crying
I-
again. I was
oh.
like, "Oh."
That's the one thing I didn't want to happen. Like,
Yeah.
I did not want him to salute because when he introduced him, he didn't salute. When
Yeah.
they got introduced, they didn't salute to each other.
Yeah.
And then that's the way he's just gonna end it.
Yeah.
He has so much respect for this man.
Yeah.
I think it's that's all you can do in
Yeah.
that moment. Honestly, he said, I hope I made you proud," and then he leaves,
Yeah.
and that's the movie.
Yeah. That's Saving Private Ryan.
I'm reading the quote. I'm just looking at quotes right now, and it just says, "Tell me I'm a good man." Ryan's wife says, "You are," and then it says, "Stands back and salutes."
Yeah.
Oh,
It's really gratifying to see that.
Yeah.
But that's all I've got for favorite scenes.
Okay. Well, let's dive into the more of the quotes.
Okay.
You got any-
I only
Maybe
got
that's for best
one,
quote.
and it's a stupid one, and it's from Paul Giamatti, and they're just leading him to this to the village, and he goes, "Man, my ankles are like an old woman right now." Something so dumb, but it made me crack up so much.
That's funny. One of the quotes that I really liked was towards the, after the storming of Normandy, when they get tasked with saving Private Ryan. There's a quote that Captain Miller says that they start talking. He starts talking with Sergeant Horvath, and he says, like, "How are we supposed to find this guy? Like, there could be." Private Ryan could be anywhere, anybody. Like, we have no idea who this guy is, what he looks like, where he is. We just know, like, he's in this general area somewhere. Like, how are we ever supposed to find him? And he says, it's like finding a needle in a stack of needles. And I was like, literally, it seems hopeless. Like, how are you supposed to be able to do that?
Literally impossible.
Yeah, but I really liked that quote.
Yeah, I like that too. I have one from Private Ryan. We didn't really talk much about him, but I think this really characterizes him really well. He gets there. And he's like, "Hey, you're coming home. Like, this is it." And he goes, "Hell, these guys deserve to go home as much as I do. They fought just as hard." Captain Miller says, "Is that what I'm supposed to tell your mom when I bring back another folded American flag?" And he goes, "You could tell her that when you found me, I was with the only brothers I had left, and there was no way I was deserting them. I think she'd understand."
Yeah.
I was like, he doesn't have brothers, but he does.
Yeah.
Which I really liked.
Yeah.
One of the ones I found, the one that I wanted yesterday, is from the German from the radar place.
Mm-hmm.
He just starts mumbling. He goes, "I like America. I like America. I like American fancy schmancy."
Oh, yeah.
I think it's
He says a bunch of random stuff.
Yeah.
He goes, "Go fly a kite. Cat got your tongue, hill beans, Betty Bop, what a dish, Betty Grace, nice gams. And then he starts singing what he
The
thinks
Star
is the
Spangled
American.
Yeah, but he starts
Star-Spangled
going,
Banner, he goes,
I say, can you see?
And that's it.
and he says that twice, and he says, F Hitler, and then they're like, shut up.
Yeah.
Bro, I was dying laughing.
Yeah, I was too.
Yeah.
That's about it for me,
That's
though.
it for me.
Okay, perfect. Let's get into bro moments.
All right.
So 16 of them over here. You better start.
16. Immediately, I was just
The
like,
guy throwing up.
everybody throwing up. I think puking is the funniest thing ever. I asked both of these guys. But this guy's just straight up over the boat, just
Just going.
no,
Yeah.
like for a good 10, 20 seconds. And I was just like, bruh, everybody's just puking.
Yeah.
And then it goes through cuts the guy. I think he's eating like, I want to say some like me. I think he's eating some Little Debbie's Swiss roll.
Okay.
And you just see a guy puke right in front of him. He's just chomping on it. I was like, bro, what are you doing? You're about to die.
That's funny.
Yeah, for sure.
He's trying to get that last snack in. before-
I got
But,
more, but I'm trying. I'm leaving some for you guys.
Okay. My first one is that guy looking for his arm on the beach, bro. And it's insane too because it's at the point where like it's kind of slowed down and all the sound drowns out and Captain Miller's on his knees and he's in shock. He's looking around, nothing's going according to plan, and you see this guy just standing, like in the middle of gunfire, just standing, not crouched, not trying to dodge bullets or anything. He's just standing. He's holding his arm. It's straight up gone. There's just meat hanging here, and then he straight up looks around and grabs his arm by the sleeve and just starts walking with it. I was like, what are you going to do with it now, dude? Like, you got to leave it there, bro.
Put it on ice or what?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he's gonna.
I watched like the first 10 minutes with Isaiah, and he said, "Bro, this is the part."
I said, this is the part right here. And as soon as I saw it, I started laughing.
We
Dude.
were dying,
Yeah, that's funny.
dude. And another big bro moment was the water in this beach is
Being-
so red.
Yeah.
And I have a fact about it. It's, dude, they used 40 barrels of fake blood just for this scene.
That's insane.
40 barrels. And I think a barrel was, I think it's 50 gallons.
Yeah.
So just 40 times
Like
5
a
is
drum. Think of like
yeah,
a blue
drum,
drum.
like a wine barrel
Yeah,
almost.
that's insane.
That's 900 gallons
That's insane.
of fake blood.
yeah.
That's insane.
It's a lot of blood right
Yeah,
there.
and you see it like in the water,
Yeah.
like when you were talking about. And I was when I was watching that part, I immediately looked at Alexa and I was like, "Dude, I know that this like really happened, but how is the ocean ever gonna turn like blue again? Like with all that blood just sitting there, how is it ever gonna like wash out?
The waves,
Like, it's-
maybe, I don't know.
It's insane.
Fish filter, all that stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
that's crazy. I didn't expect any of the death that we saw there.
Yeah.
One of my bro moments was when we get to see that radio guy. He's
Short
like,
party.
Yeah, short party. He's like, hey, he talks to him the first time, he talks to him a second time, and then he goes to talk to him a third time, and the dude's freaking face is caved in.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm laughing because I just don't know how to react
It's
to it.
insane.
But it literally is
It's
like
just a fat hole.
a hole.
Just
Right
and
in
you
his
see
face.
like a little bit of his nose, his chin, and his forehead, and that's all you see.
yeah.
I was like, bro, what?
It's insane. Captain Miller's reaction to he turns over, he like pulls him over, and he sees that, and he's just like, "Oh," and then goes to grab the radio, and it's all shot up, and he's just like, "Well, we gotta go. Like, there's nothing else we could do here."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I forget who it is, and I thought it was a really big bro moment for me because I want to say it's the medic, but he picks up dirt and and
yeah.
it shows
It's-
he has dirt from different places.
No,
he's
it's
been.
that one guy that says,
it's Horvath.
is it
Sergeant-
Horvath?
Yeah, it's Sergeant Horvath.
Yeah,
He has different parts of the world. He has one from Italy, one from Africa, and one from France.
Which just makes me think, how long had it taken for them to get there,
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
and
been,
how much has he gone through already?
been
Yeah.
to a
And
lot
that's
of
just-
places.
It just blows my mind.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. My next bro moment is finding out with the audience, or as an audience member, finding out that Private Ryan's mother would be finding out all at the same time that 3 of her boys have died. So like she doesn't like get to grieve for just one of them at a time. It's
all of them.
all 3 of them at a time. And another one of the huge bro moments was I really like this the way that they decided to show this was seeing all those people typewriting and
One
hearing
lady.
like the voiceover of, you know, he was an essential part to our company. We loved him and all this
Which
stuff.
also makes me kind of mad.
Yeah, and that's the thing was like this.
They don't know nothing
it's-
about
yeah,
this
They don't
person,
know anything
they're
about
just
it. And they're just
saying
kind of
this.
like, yeah, it's like cookie cutter. It's Mad Libs
Yeah.
essentially, and they're just plugging words in for these people and having these women write them out. And you see like 50 of them just typing out these letters, and it's like, man,
One thing that did confuse me was how did that lady know?
she had to have just seen the names. Like,
But that lady went up to a different person. You get what
yeah,
I'm saying?
well, yeah, because once they finished them, they would all turn them into like a certain folder. So I'm assuming maybe she either wrote the other ones. She either wrote all the other ones, or
Yeah.
it had gotten brought up or
Yeah.
something like that.
She
It's
had
a
to have
co-
known.
yeah.
Following your bro moment follows my bro moment, wherein it's the first place where I cried. You see this military vehicle going up
Seeing-
this long.
Was it Walter White without an arm?
Yeah, I was like, why did they cast him then?
Bryan Cranston.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That
I was like,
him?
yeah, that was
yeah,
Bryan Cranston.
I didn't
Bryan
notice him.
Cranston. I was like,
No arm.
Why are you here?
Yeah.
You could have been anybody.
Yeah.
Very strange because they have cast amputees already. So why did they cast him?
Him as an amputee.
And he doesn't even. He has his
like
arm.
a very minimal role
Yeah,
as well.
I was like,
But you see
Interesting.
yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know it was him. But you see this military vehicle going up to this house, and it's this lady. The mom is washing dishes, and she sees it, and then she comes to her senses that like, shoot, my boys are in the military. What's a military vehicle doing here? And as soon as they walk out and take off their hats,
she falls.
she
to the
falls
floor.
to the floor, and that's when I start crying, 'cause I dude, I get chills right now because it's just the emotion.
That's the truck you don't want to see. Like
No.
that's the one person you do not want coming to
No.
your house.
And I feel like when someone tells you something and they take off their hat, that's
That's how you.
that's
know
the
it's-
worst
Yeah.
thing ever. I can't imagine. I immediately just started crying. I was just like,
Yeah.
I can't imagine what you're going through.
Yeah.
Yeah. My next bro moment is when Captain Miller starts to say how many people he's lost under his command, and he says 94.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy's lost some heads, and the fact that he pulled the number out instantly knows that he knows every
Yeah.
single one that he lost.
Yeah. I really like too how he starts to go into how many people he's lost, because it makes me as an audience member specifically, I started to think about like, man, I can't even imagine like having to be put in that situation where
Mhm.
you're the decision maker. You have to decide whether or not some of your guys are going to live or die.
And he goes on to explain how he makes those decisions and what his thought process is, right?
Yeah. I forget exactly what he says, but
He says something like, I got to tell myself that, one of my guys dies, but if I could save even one or two or 10 or even 100,
yeah.
that's got to be worth it, right? So if two of my guy dies,
He's like, I have to have saved at least hundreds
Double,
of people.
triple, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of heartbreaking to see that he's lost so many guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Another bro moment for me is, so first off, Caparzo grabbing that girl was a bro moment because
Yeah.
I was immediately like, dude, just leave her. Like, I know, like, you want to help civilians, all that stuff and everything, but like,
You can't
you can't do anything right now. What are you going to do? You're going to just carry her along with you on your mission?
Yeah.
Like, what was the thought
Backpack
process
around.
behind that, man? It makes no sense. But whenever that whole scene goes through, they find the other company, and that wall falls down.
Yeah.
And there's all those Germans
Yeah.
in that
Dude.
room. Dude, the stress was eating me.
Well, everyone's like,
yeah, they're
"Put
just,
your guns
they're just
down! Put 'em
yelling,
down!"
put him down, put him down. That reminds me of that TikTok sound. It's all, sir, get down, get down. It's like an out of context, like police body cam footage, like a sound that's being used, and everyone uses it, and they start dancing, and they're all,
Oh my gosh.
because it's get down, but
oh,
they're all,
yeah, I get
but they're
it.
they're all pointing at their guns at each other. They're about to shoot each other. They're telling everybody like, stop, put them down, and you're just waiting for somebody to fire the first shot, and you're hoping it's our guys.
Mhm.
And then we see like a whole other, company from another level just mow these guys down,
Mhm.
and it's insane. Like watching these guys just get killed. It again, like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah.
And one of the things that really sticks in my mind is that guy that's like sitting by the table, and he gets shot, and then just like his
Slumps
body's just
over.
sitting on the table.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Another bro moment is when they get to that city and they find Ryan, and then
Yes.
it comes out to be the wrong Ryan.
Yeah, James Franklin Ryan,
Yeah.
Minnesota, not James Francis.
And he
Ryan.
starts crying. He's like,
He goes, "I was supposed to take my brothers fishing. I gotta
Yeah.
go home."
Yeah,
he's like, my brothers are in grade school. And you're immediately like, hold on. They're not in the war.
yeah.
How are,
And he was like,
this is the
well,
wrong guy.
yeah. Well, yeah, it was heartbreaking too because he's like, what? He's dead. How? And he's like, all three of them. And he's like, it can't be. My brother's in grammar school. He's like, what? And he's all, I said I was gonna take him fishing when we got out.
Oh, we got the wrong
And
guy.
he's all, this has been a misunderstanding. I'm sorry. I'm sure your brothers are fine. We gotta go. And he's like, I gotta go home. I need to know if he's okay. Yeah, it's a huge bro moment.
My next bro moment had me laughing a lot just because it's a very funny situation. So the guys, they throw grenades, and then our guys would look at them and then just toss the grenades out.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, what the heck? It was
Dude,
really funny to see.
Speaking about grenades, my next moment jumps pretty far, but it's when, actually no, it's not pretty far. It's when they're at the radar's place and our guys threw a grenade and the guy just sticks out his hand and catches it.
It throws it back.
Yeah.
Throws it. I said, "What?"
Yeah.
Some machetes type stuff.
Yeah.
No, it's like they knew, dude.
Yeah.
Another huge bro moment for me, it was a little bit of a slower scene, but was whenever they meet up with all these broken up companies, and it's like an infirmary type situation, right? Like there's a ton of wounded guys, and Captain Miller and a couple of the guys start to talk to this other guy who was a pilot,
Mhm.
and they said that the pilot like had to crash the plane that he was on, and it's insane why he had to crash the plane because of there being too much weight
Mm-hmm.
and them like going through all these precautions to try to save one general because like he was super valuable to them, so that they like welded steel plates on the bottom of the plane to ensure that like nobody could shoot up into it to hurt him, and that caused like that with like all the like the vehicles that were on the plane and all the people caused the plane to like have too much weight, so they crashed it, and he killed 22 of his men trying to save the one guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, him and Captain Miller share a moment where they're like, it kind of makes you question like, is
that all worth it?
Is it all worth it? Are the lives of these guys here worth saving him?
Yeah.
And he is going through that entire process of having to try to find Private Ryan as well.
Yeah. It brings it to another bro moment within that scene where he gives him the sack
Of tags.
of tags, and they're just going through it like they're just nobodies.
Yeah,
Like
and
they're
he's like,
just
oh, look
poker
at this
chips.
guy. Oh, this guy got it bad. And it's just a big old bullet hole. And all these guys are walking through, watching them like pick through these dog tags like they're playing cards.
Yeah.
And I love that Wade comes up to them.
He
and he's
has
like,
that sanctity still.
And he was like, what the hell are you guys doing, dude? The whole airborne's looking at you guys. These aren't poker chips. These are people.
Put them away.
Yeah, and they kind of like, oh man, yeah, you're right. I started getting angry too. I was like, dude, these guys were people.
Insensitive.
Yeah, like these guys died, and you're just treating them like, oh man, yeah, this guy's dumb. This guy's name was dumb. Oh,
Yeah.
this guy was from Minnesota. I was from here. All that stuff. It's
Yeah. Stupid.
yeah.
I only have one last one, so
I
I'll
have
wait.
one more, and it's during the chaos at the end, and it's when the sergeant, how do you say his last name?
Horvath.
Horvath? Is that how you say it?
Horvath.
It's him, and he comes in contact with the German, and they both pull the gun at each other, empty. And then they just throw each other's hands at each
Yeah, they throw the helmet at him.
I was laughing.
I was like, bro.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's my last bro moment.
Yeah. My last moment is watching our sniper guy getting taken out by the tank.
Yeah.
I love the way they do it, too, because he's picking off guys as he's reciting his prayer. And all of a sudden, he sees the tank go, "What?" And then he goes, and he calls to one of his partners, and he goes, all right. It just blows up.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Yeah.
That's it for me.
I love that guy.
Same here.
All right. That's it.
Let's get into some of the facts.
Dude, the budget for this movie is insane. Honestly, it's You have a fact about it.
I do.
So I'm gonna let you say that fact before I say that budget.
Okay, and it makes sense too because this fact blew me away. I shared it with you guys beforehand because I was like, "What the?" I shared it with my brother as well. The Omaha beach scene cost $11 million to shoot and involved up to 1,000 extras, some of which who were members of the Irish Army Reserve. Of those extras, 20 to 30 of them were amputees.
That's insane.
That's insane. So knowing that 11 million of this
Just on the 30 minutes.
on the 30 minutes in the beginning, it took 70 million to make this movie.
Okay.
All right.
Opening weekend it made 30.5 million. Gross for U.S. and Canada made 217 million,
Wow.
and gross worldwide made 482.3 million.
Nice.
Jeez.
Almost $500 million
That's insane. For a rated R film,
for a
too,
rated
as well.
R film.
That came
And
out in 98.
And I have a fact about that as well, which is this is the highest grossing film of 1998 in the U.S. and it was also a rated R film, and it led the yearly yearbox. I don't know what I'm saying. Led the yearly box office until American Sniper, which was until 2014.
Wow.
Wow. That's
So
insane.
this was
It's a pretty
the
good
highest
record.
grossing R-rated film until American Sniper.
That's a pretty good.
And then I think Joker overtook that, too.
Joker took
One
over,
bill, right?
over
Yeah.
which
is
American
insane.
Sniper.
I get.
But, yeah.
Can't even fathom that.
So I actually have, I think so. I don't know. I find this stuff interesting, but this movie went on to win a lot of Oscars.
Mhm.
Okay.
So in its year, it won Best Director, Best Cinematography, Best Sound, Best Editing, and Best Effects.
Mm-hmm.
It was nominated for Best Actor. It was also nominated for Best Picture, as well as a couple other categories. And people had thought at the time that this movie was a shoo-in for Best Picture, that it was for sure going to win.
It's not?
No. And this is the thing. So there's a lot of controversy that surrounds the Oscars for specifically this movie and another one called Shakespeare in Love, which, yeah, tell me if you guys have heard of that movie.
Never heard
Never
of it.
have I ever.
I think that just
Goes to show.
what's going on here. But so this movie lost Best Picture to Shakespeare in Love, which was a movie that was produced by Harvey Weinstein's company. And it was rumored that he had done a lot of like lobbying for the film to the Academy and tried to like also, from what I have read, like bribe them and tell them to like make sure that
It wins.
that movie won and all this stuff. And whenever Shakespeare in Love won over Saving Private Ryan, that was one of the first moments where people were like, "What? Are you kidding me? Like, is the Academy
Tarnished.
Dumb?
like blind? Are they
Yeah.
dumb? Did they get bought off? Like, there's no possible way that Shakespeare in Love was the best picture of 98 or 97, whenever it came out, whenever the Oscars happened, and you're going to tell me that Shakespeare in Love won. If you go look at Shakespeare in Love, let's Google it here.
Has it?
Live.
If it's lower than like a 60 or 70 even, I'll be like, what? Because this
So,
movie,
it has a 92 on Rotten
Okay.
Tomatoes, a 7.1 on IMDb.
interesting. This movie has an 8.6
Yeah.
with
But this
1.4
movie-
million ratings.
Just looking at the photos, I'm kind of like, there's no possible way. It also won Best Actress, but yeah, this is the movie that won Best Picture of the year, and people lost their minds over it.
Wow.
And it was all because good old Harvey wanted to make sure that his production company won.
Yeah,
It
see,
didn't even make that much money. It only made 289.3 million.
Yeah,
we'll have to. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe it is good.
I don't
Who
know.
knows? I don't
feel
know.
like you guys are not gonna like it either way. It's a romance
It's
and
a-
drama.
It's
Yeah.
and it's a period piece.
True.
Yeah, you guys hate period pieces.
Very strange that it
Yeah.
won.
Yeah.
Speaking of winning movie or winning Oscars, this movie did not win an Oscar for Best Actor. But the fact I have with that is that Edward Norton was offered the role of Private Ryan, but he turned it down to do American History X. Instead, both he and Tom Hanks would eventually compete against each other for the Academy Award of Best Actor, but of course none of them both didn't win it. But it was interesting to see Edward Norton be in this great of a movie and then go on to do an even greater one, and them go back and forth, or like tie against it. I thought is a
That's
cool
crazy.
fact.
So you guys know Private Jackson, right?
Yes.
And Garth Brooks turned down the role for Private Jackson.
Garth Brooks, bro.
Bro,
Are
that's
you
my
kidding
idol.
me?
I wanted to look like Garth Brooks, and when I read that, I said, dude, no way.
Bro, could you imagine that? Garth Brooks being in a movie like this?
No, I can't.
I don't even think he's in any movie.
Anytime I think of Garth Brooks, I think of that that time he created a Facebook page and he posted one video on there and then never posted on Facebook again. He straight up posted a video on there saying, like, he has this iconic quote where he says, "Let the conversation begin." And he has this whole like thing where he's like, "I'm on Facebook and you guys are going to be able to talk to me and all this stuff and get in contact with me. It's going to be a way that, you know, you guys can say anything you want to me and I'm going to respond and all this stuff." And then he never got on there again. Like, he posted that one video and then never logged in again.
Die.
So funny. Another fact I have here in regards to the cast here. Steven Spielberg had originally cast Matt Damon as Private Ryan because he wanted an unknown actor with an all-American look. He didn't know that Damon would eventually win an Oscar for Good Will Hunting, which came out in '97, and then become an overnight star because before the film was even released.
Yeah.
So
It's funny.
Yeah, which I find to be pretty funny.
It's funny to think about Matt Damon as like a nobody.
Yeah, because we look at him now
He's
and we're
a
like,
staple.
dude, yeah, he's like a A-list actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, Vin Diesel. So Vin Diesel's in this movie. He was paid $100,000 for the role of Private Caparzo, but he wasn't a still little known actor. So $100,000 maybe was good for him.
Change your life,
It
especially
could.
if you're a little known actor.
Yeah, I'd
good.
take it
And
right now.
then going on to do Fast and Furious.
Yeah,
Like,
that changes his life
yeah.
in a heartbeat.
I even read too that he doesn't he have like a clause in his contracts? Hold on, let me see here. It says, ironically, Vin Diesel plays the first team member to die, as he's now notorious for being so insecure about his image that he actually has a clause in his contract preventing him from ever looking bad on screen.
That's funny.
Who's to say he doesn't look bad?
That's funny.
Him, I guess. He said, "Nah, I look bad. Can't do it."
That's
Bro,
funny.
have you seen the movie XXX State of the Union? XXX,
Dude, I
terrible.
haven't even thought about those movies since I was a kid.
I just thought about it because it's Vin Diesel.
Dude, man.
XXX.
Dude, that brings back some memories for me. I remember playing this XXX game on my cousin's Game Boy.
Gosh, dude.
Another fact I have here. All of the actors except for Matt Damon underwent several days of grueling army training. Damon was spared so that way the other actors would resent him and would convey that feeling in their performances. It also goes on to say that the actors that did undergo that intensive training, it was a pre-shoot 6-day boot camp. And during that, all of them but one had voted to quit as they found that it was too hard. So the one person that decided not to quit was Tom Hanks. And he had said that he enjoyed the experience and thought that it was pretty interesting and it was nice to dive into the character that way. And naturally, his vote counted the most, so the rest of the actors were obligated to complete their training because of him.
Savage. He said, "No, we're finishing this."
Yeah.
Oh man.
The last fact that I have is the opening Omaha Beach sequence. It used up to 17,000 individual bullet squibs.
That's
nice.
crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
17,000 is a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I have another thing here in regards to the violence that's brought up that's just shown in this film. This film was actually blocked by the censor board of India for having too much violence. The board demanded cuts that Steven Spielberg had declined to make, and instead he decided to just not release the movie in India at all. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, the then Home Minister of India had went and saw the movie for himself, and because of how impressed he was, he ordered that it be released in India uncut, so that way they could experience it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, man.
Yeah.
Any other ones?
That's it for me.
Okay. I've got a couple more here, which I think are pretty interesting. So in regards to some of the camera work here, there's specific shots whenever explosions happen where the camera will shake. And Steven Spielberg had decided that he was going to use drills that were attached to the side of the camera, and then they would turn on whenever the explosion would go off.
Oh.
So while shooting with this effect, the crew's photographer had let Spielberg know later on that there's a shaker lens for 4 cameras that could be used. And Spielberg had said in an interview that he had thought he had invented a great new technique.
Has anybody else? Do we know if anybody else using this technique?
I don't know. But definitely, it just calls to mind like thinking of something that like you thought you had an original idea, and then you were like, dude, this would be such a great thing, and then, you know, you look it up online or something, you're like, oh, it's been done. Like I remember when I skated a ton as a kid, and I first got my first iPod Touch and seeing the maps function on iPod, I was like, dude, how sick would it be to have an app where you could like have the same functionality with maps, but it be skate spots.
Oh.
So like you see skate spots around town and people can rate it and be like, oh, like this is a certain spot. And then I remember looking it up and it was a thing already.
Yeah.
And I was like, I thought I had a good idea, dude.
already getting ready to go to Shark Tank. You're ready.
The last one I have here, Steven Spielberg had requested that nobody gain admittance to the movie once it had already begun, just as Alfred Hitchcock did during the release of Psycho, which I thought was really interesting.
He's trying to
make sure that everybody is immersed into the movie and that they watch it from start to finish. Nobody comes in. Nobody, you know.
Man, what if you had to use the restroom?
Well, I mean, you could obviously, you know.
Oh, yeah, I feel like movie theaters were different back then.
Yeah, you could obviously leave to go to the bathroom.
Dude,
or something,
imagine
but like,
he would be like,
no.
It's like once the, you know, because you know you could go to a box office and if a movie's starting at says it started at 5:30, you show up at 5:45, and you're like, oh, I want a showing for the 5:30. They'll give you a ticket.
Yeah.
You know, you'll just be late to the film.
No. You get there and you get a complimentary piss bag.
They put a catheter in.
Yeah.
You just
you gotta sign a contract saying, I am legally not going to say anything for them giving me a catheter.
No, you do it yourself. You sit there, put it in,
Just
and
hook
enjoy
it
the
in.
movie. I would think the adult diapers would be easier, but yeah, the mind of Spielberg, man.
Yeah.
Don't know what he's thinking.
Yeah. All right. So if that's it for the facts, what didn't work?
So I have 2 things, and the first one is Upham. I don't care about him.
Yeah.
Take him out. Sorry.
I understand his character and the need for his character, but man, he
Sucks.
pisses me off.
I just don't
Pisses
like
me
him.
off heavily.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I noticed, and it's very minuscule, it's very small. So in the scene where they're looking for Ryan's tags in that place where they're like you said, the infirmary, is that if you have your TV loud enough, at least for me, there's like some kiddish music playing in the background, and it almost, and I told Isaiah, it reminds me of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
What?
Like that
So
kind of
like
music.
it's all
Like that's kind of what I heard, and I
Okay.
was just like, this isn't supposed to be funny. Like, what is this? Like, so then like I stopped and I was just like, what? Like, why put this music in there? And then it finally went into like something more, I wouldn't say, more like military, like I would say, I guess.
Yeah, horns, a lot of brass.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, but for like a good 20 to 30 seconds, you can hear that. At least I did. So I didn't like that.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the things I'll say didn't work for me, and it's weird because it didn't translate in your guys' experience, was this movie was so quiet for me. And I don't know if it's just like, you know, where I was streaming it or our sound bar or something like that, but we had that thing blasted to like 55. And the dialogue was so quiet. Like the only thing that was like really like loud, we would say, would be like the action scenes where there's a lot of explosions and gunfire and stuff going on. Well, when it would come to people talking, like I'm lucky we had the captions on because like
really? It was that quiet?
Because it like there were points where like it was hard to hear. So whenever he brought up this thing about the kiddish music, I was like, I didn't even hear that.
No.
Like I couldn't even hear that. So
I don't know.
another thing I'll say that didn't work for me, just real quick. There's a quick scene right at the very end, whenever they're about to go over the bridge, and it gets that scene again where, you know, Captain Williams on his knees, and it's slow motion again, and he's looking around seeing all his guys. I hated the shot of Matt Damon hugging his knees and going doing that.
Yeah.
Because his entire character doesn't lead up to
Not at all.
to anything remotely like being scared like that or anything. So
No.
for it to be added in like that, I was like, why?
He seems
Why?
like a chump.
Yeah, he seems like a baby.
Yeah.
Like, and his character does not seem like that, or at least like from what we've seen, like he's willing to fight, he's willing to do all this stuff, and then all of a sudden we just see him being like,
Yeah.
doing all this stuff. I was like, what was that for?
Yeah.
I didn't really like that.
You know what? I didn't really like the scenes too where the camera goes into like 10 frames per second and it's like
Yeah, and it's all.
it's like all cut up a little.
It reminds me of King Kong. You remember King Kong that came out in the 2000s?
What are you thinking?
Dude, they have some similar styled like
Where it's like
shots. Yeah, where like the tribal people are being around, and it's so vivid to me thinking about that style and attributing that to King Kong. It does not age well for
No,
me.
I'm not really a fan of stuff like that. It's like my TV's graphics is it keeping up? What's happening?
Yeah,
Like I get
the
that
frame rate
yeah,
is just dropping.
I didn't really like that. The other thing I didn't like is the first Private Ryan we meet. I hate his crying. Low key, I was not convinced that he was sad at all. He just goes like it didn't seem genuine to me.
Okay.
Now it kind of took me out of it. I was like, couldn't get a better crier than this, dude. Come on.
I one of the things that blew me away a little bit was he kind of looked like Rob Gronkowski from the New England Patriots.
Yeah. Yeah. Holy cow. Yeah.
Doesn't
oh my
he?
gosh, he
kinda
does
looks
look like
him.
I don't even know. I'm sorry.
That was funny.
Another thing that I didn't like, some of the camera effects I wasn't too big on. There's one that I specifically can think of where I can't remember who it was, but it's like he just done something great, and then the camera is focusing on his face, but we see these like white streaks.
Yeah, where it's like the lens is dirty.
Yeah, it's like
It reminds me when your camera on your phone is all oily.
Yeah.
and you're trying to take a photo and it's like all like faded. And
Yeah.
Dude, that happens to me all the time because I got some crusty fingers and I take a selfie and
yeah, and it's just your camera looks nasty.
I saw that and I was like, I don't know what they're trying to accomplish here. I don't really enjoy watching this. Like it's not highlighting a specific character. If anything, it's muddying the scene.
Yeah.
So I was like, not too much of a fan of
I
that.
immediately think of that effect whenever Upham kills
I think
the
that's
guy
the
that
one
they
I'm
let
thinking of.
go.
Yeah.
So that's a bro moment I didn't even talk about.
I know.
Freaking that guy that they end up letting go comes back
Killed.
to kill Captain Miller, and that was something I didn't notice
I didn't
on the
notice
first
either.
watch. So when I saw it the second time, and it clicked for me. I was like, "That's the guy they let go."
That mother.
Yeah, and it was. I legit sat up in my seat. I was so surprised by it. But whenever he kills him, whenever Upham, that's the only guy he kills. It shows that like weird, like blurry, like distorted lens flare type thing. Yeah, it's strange.
Wasn't a big fan of that. But
Any other things that didn't work for you guys?
No, that's it for me.
Okay.
yeah, as far as everything else goes,
All right. What did work for this movie then? I'd say other than that, a big majority of the cinematography here really works.
Dude, the
for me.
cinematography really kills it. It kills
Yeah.
it. There's some beautifully shot. You can get some nice stills. It's beautifully the color. There's some colors in here that are like there's a green that I'm thinking of that I don't even know how to describe it.
Mm.
Like it's just so dark, but it's
like-
also so bright. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, you could say like vivid.
Yeah.
Like
Like
one thing that's interesting too is that Steven Spielberg had decided stylistically to like desaturate a lot of this movie. So everything feels like way more gray like than it should, rather than like popping a lot. And when we get like really bold colors like that, those are the ones that really pop, like the reds and the greens and the blues. And when we see those things, we're like, man, like it's nice to get like
some
some sort of color, because everything is just so dark and gray looking. Yeah.
I wanted to touch on the soundtrack a little bit. Not necessarily, well, the sound design. I think it's really cool that you know, as they're walking, even in these peaceful times, you hear the bombs going off, and you hear just this chaos all around them.
Yeah.
And I think it was interesting to include some of that war torn like sounds in the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Because it's like you don't really need this like sad, dreary music. You have the bombs going off, and that should set the environment. That should set the tone for you, and to know what these characters are going through. I just thought it was really effective for them to really highlight some of those, instead of being like, oh yeah, they're walking and it's super quiet and they're just able to, you know, think about like inner monologues and stuff like that. No, it was like everything was exactly how it was in War.
Yeah.
Which I enjoyed.
Yeah, I also have to say too, I really enjoyed the acting a lot here, specifically from Tom Hanks. So whenever I think of Tom Hanks, like he's such a household name, where I'm like, you know, he's Tom Hanks. You know, that's Forrest Gump. That's Homeboy and Castaway. You know, like there's so much that he
Buzz
does.
Lightyear.
Exactly, and so no, he's not
Woody.
He's Woody. Buzz Lightyear's Tim Allen.
Tim
Yeah,
Allen.
Tim Allen. So when I really watched Tom Hanks' performance here, and it bringing me to tears at the end, I was like, man, this guy's really like a great actor, and I feel like I sleep on him a bit because of how just ever present he's been in my life, you know, and seeing him in all these movies, I never really like think about giving him the time of day as like a great actor. So seeing this, I was like, wow, he really kills it, as well as, you know, a lot of the other characters like Jackson, and the guy that plays there's another the guy that goes to eventually to leave. I think his character's name is like Ryan or Ren or something like that. I forget exactly what it was, but I really liked his character as well. I loved Wade. I really liked Matt Damon playing Private Ryan. Like there's just a lot to really unpack here with the acting.
Yeah, I love it.
Something that I did like is, obviously the movie is about Private Ryan, and I liked that it wasn't all him. So I liked that the most part of the movie was getting to him, and we didn't get introduced to him to close to the end, about an hour to the end.
Yeah.
So 2 hours of the movie is just
it's all set up.
It's all set up, and that's something that I really enjoyed because of how long it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it works in its favor.
Yeah. Speaking of, you know, the way that this film is structured, I think the pacing is really nice. You know, it kind of follows that very typical war structure of being really chaotic and then having that moment of peace and then only to follow that immediately with chaos. But I think that really goes to highlight a lot of just the acting and a lot of the way that this movie drags you along with intensity. And it really gets you engaged, and then it gets you to calm down and build these characters, and then it gets you to be really engaged again and slowly take them away.
Yeah.
I think the pacing is kind of what drove me along in this movie and is what kept me truly engaged. Otherwise, I mean, it's a pretty long movie. Yeah. But I enjoyed pretty much every minute of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think the pacing really works here. It's something that, you know, if this movie was horribly paced, it would feel every minute of its length.
Yeah.
And when you look at the runtime of this and you recognize just how, you know, how fluid everything feels, it doesn't feel like 3 hours or close to it, you know. Another thing I really like, that I feel like goes perfectly with the pacing, is just the writing.
I was gonna bring that up right after this. Writing is impeccable.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, you listen to the writing or, you know, the lines being spoken, and you look at, you know, a lot of the blocking and the choreography that goes into the fight scenes and all that stuff and everything, and you think about, like, all this stuff had to be written first, like, for any of it to ever come to fruition. That's just the epitome of great writing right there.
Yeah. And it all felt very genuine as well. It wasn't just like these very well-educated men in war times. No, it felt very like they were characters. They were cussing all the time. They were, you know, saying a bunch of obscene things, but they're in wartime. You totally believe it.
Yeah, and the characters stay consistent.
Yes.
Like, for the most of the time, characters stay consistent throughout the entirety of the film.
Yes.
Nobody makes weird motivation changes or like personality changes out of nowhere with no lead up or anything like that. Like, every character feels real and solidified. And so when we talk about caring for these people, that's just a great testament to the writing. So
yeah, That's pretty much all that worked for me there.
Okay.
Mhm.
Same here. Who wins the movie then?
Tom Hanks.
Yeah, so I put Tom
Same here.
Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
There's no other way.
Tom Hanks kills it.
He's the anchor point to all these characters.
Yeah.
So
What would you say some themes for this movie are?
Family.
Family. Family.
brotherhood.
Um,
What do you got? You got anything?
I'm trying to think. It's just
I feel like it's kind of hard to characterize a war film or to like sum it up with a theme.
yeah.
You know, I mean, we're
Life's
really
a
we're,
risk, Anand.
we're yeah, life's a risk. It's hard to really, you know,
I mean, I guess
summarize
like
that
the
because-
severity of war and what
Oh,
the
yeah.
effects are.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, most
and
definitely.
as you see at the end of the movie, this affected Ryan
Mhm.
his whole life.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, he's lived his whole life, you know, wanting to make the person that saved his life proud.
proud,
Yeah.
and he's never gonna see that.
Yeah,
And I don't know. I guess I just take the risk.
Yeah. I also kind of want to say that like sacrifice is necessary,
mm-hmm.
Oh,
especially in war times.
Yeah.
But I think even like we can apply that to our lives. Some kind of sacrifice is necessary
I
to
think sacrifice-
succeed. But gosh, in this moment it sucks because you see all those guys sacrificing their lives in the first wave just to die.
Yeah,
But
I like that. No, I like that one.
yeah, I like that too. Yeah, I think I'll just piggyback off the both of you guys. I think you guys hit it on the head. What are we gonna rate this movie then?
I'm giving this an 8.
Okay,
all right, I'm gonna give this a 9.
okay. I think I'm gonna piggyback off Nick too and give it a 9 as well.
Yeah.
It's a
As
very
far
good
as
movie.
war movies go, man, this is one of the greats.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. There's a reason why it is so highly regarded.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So I definitely recommend it to anybody that wants to check it out.
Agree as well.
So,
You've got my recommend.
all right. Well, that's it for the episode, you guys. So if you did stick around all the way to the end, we do appreciate you. Make sure that you guys are rating and reviewing the show on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. It does help us, garner a bigger audience, a bigger following. People see that, there's some credence to what we're doing with the rates and reviews, as well as liking and subscribing to the YouTube channel, commenting on that stuff.
Yeah.
It shows people that, there's, a little bit of a community here, and we really do appreciate when you guys do so. It really lifts our spirits whenever we see you guys really interacting with this stuff and getting involved in our conversations as well, and, raising questions to things that maybe we not even thought about and all that stuff. And we really appreciate it. It really does mean a lot. So, in order to continue doing that stuff, again, comment on the YouTube videos, leave a rate and review, get in contact with us on Instagram or email. All the methods of contact we have are in every episode description. So if you do want to, reach out or follow us on any of the social platforms, all that stuff is there. Other than that, I think next pick is Abe's.
It is.
Yeah, I'm waiting to hear it, man.
I am going to choose the 2007 film I Am Legend, starring Will Smith.
All right. Dude, I
haven't seen this movie in a while.
I haven't seen this movie in a long time. And there was a point in my middle school years where I was obsessed with this movie.
I think I was upset. Dude,
I'm laughing because I can remember the last time I watched that. I think I've watched it twice this year.
Really?
Yes. I think
love that
this
for
is
you.
probably my most watched sci-fi movie for no reason.
Dude, I
It's a good-
love this movie.
from what I remember, it's a good movie.
From what I remember, I hold this movie in such high regard. Like
I do too.
Dude, I loved this movie as a kid watching it. I remember being scared to watch it at first because I thought it was
Yeah.
going to be super scary.
Me too.
Yeah.
And when I watched it, I was like, dude, I loved every minute of that. It was great.
I always think of the scene just of when he's washing the dog. He's just, don't worry about a thing.
Yeah.
What I think about is I like Shrek.
But this movie's actually streaming, so it's on HBO Max. Of course, the GOAT has it.
Let's go.
Last place I watched.
And yeah, that's the movie I'm choosing. I haven't watched it in a while, and I think it's time for a rewatch.
Yeah, I'm really excited. The world building here I think is awesome. From
Yeah.
what I remember, I mean,
We're watching with the alternate ending or the theatrical ending?
Whatever it gives us.
we'll talk about both.
Okay.
And
We'll talk about both for sure
Yeah.
because both are wild.
Yeah.
We'll talk about which would we like more
Okay.
and stuff like that. So,
So,
I
yeah,
Am Legend.
I Am
Will
Legend.
Smith.
HBO Max.
HBO Max. That's
All
all
right.
you need to know.
All right, y'all. Turn in next week and see what we think about I Am Legend.
Yeah.
As always, this has been the Film Bros Podcast. Thank you and good night.
Good night.
Good night.